This tutorial will show you how to pre-log samples into the NUTBAL system. Prior to or after you collect your manure sample from the field, you can pre-log samples into the system so that you do not have to fill out the paper sample sheet. This will also reduce the time it takes for your sample to be processed by the GAN lab. To begin the process of pre-logging your sample, click on Samples in the main menu and then choose Descriptions from the drop-down menu. This will open the sample description page. In the Select Sample box, choose New Sample. In the adjacent box, choose the kind of animal the sample came from. In the Sample Date box, enter the date that the sample was collected. You can enter this by typing in the date with a 4-digit year first, followed by a 2-digit month and a 2-digit day with a hyphen separating each. A calendar will also pop up, allowing you to choose the date, and it will populate the box. If you would like the GAN lab to complete an advisory for your sample, click to check the box next to Advisory Requested. An advisory will provide you with additional information on feeding recommendations and management options. The GAN lab will charge an additional fee for this service. The sample description page has 4 sections: livestock, pasture, feeds, and history. These are represented as tabs on the page. First, you can click on the Livestock tab to enter specific information about the livestock that your manure sample came from. After clicking on this tab, several fields will appear near the bottom of the page. For the Animal Profile box, choose the animal profile that represents the collected sample from the drop-down menu. The profiles listed here are the ones that you created under Animal Profiles in the Property menu. Next is the Animal category. From the drop-down menu, choose the category that best describes the animal profile from which your sample was taken. Categories are based on the age of the animals at the time your sample was taken. The age is calculated from the age that you entered for the animal in this profile and the number of days since the age was entered into the NUTBAL system. The number of head entry will be populated with the number of head you indicated when the profile was created. If the number of head has changed since that time, you can change the number to reflect current conditions. The frame score is a description of the skeletal size of the animal. The body condition score refers to the proportion of muscle to fat on the animal. Adjust the frame score and the body condition score as needed. Changing the body condition score will automatically adjust the weight to a close estimation. If you are using the BCS 1 to 9 system, use this chart to determine where your animals lie on the spectrum. By this scale, a BCS of 4 to 6 is considered a healthy weight. If the animals described for this profile are lactating, choose the average number of days the animals have been nursing offspring from the drop-down box. If animal in this profiles are pregnant, use the drop-down menu next to Days Pregnant to choose the average number of days since breeding occurred. Keep in mind that days lactating and days pregnant should never be the same. In the Desired Daily Gain box, select the number of pounds per day of weight gain you would like the animals in this profile to gain over the next 30 days. The next 2 boxes relate to the parasite load the animals in this profile have been subjected to. For the internal parasite load and external parasite load boxes, choose the appropriate parasite load category from the pull-down menus in each box. If the animals represented in this profile have been administered implants, choose the appropriate selection from the drop-down box next to Implants. When you are finished, click the Add Profile button. If you did everything correctly, the profile will show up as a row on the page. If your herd consists of animals with different profiles, you can create additional livestock profiles for this sample using the same process. You can also make changes to any of the profiles by clicking on the row of the profile that you want to change and then changing the values in the field below it. Remember to always click Add Profile when you are finished editing the profile. Once you have listed all the profiles connected with the sample, click on the Pasture tab. From the Pasture drop-down box, select the appropriate pasture where the manure sample was taken. This drop-down box is populated with the pastures you set up previously. Next, select from the drop-down box next to Pasture Growth Rate the growth stage that best represents the pasture on the day when the sample was taken. If an ionophore was used for the animals in this profile on this pasture, select the kind of ionophore from the drop-down menu for the ionophore entry. For the day's end period, select the number of days that you plan to graze this pasture. At this point, you may choose to hit the Save Description button before moving on, but you are not required to. If the animals for this profile are on pasture and you are not providing any additional feed to the animals, you can click the Save Description button near the top of the page and skip the fields under the Feed tab. Otherwise, you will need to add feeds for each feed you have been giving the animals in this profile. Click on the Feed tab. Click on the drop-down box next to the Feed field and choose the name of the feed that best describes what you are currently feeding the animals in this profile. The feeds in the list are sorted by type and by name. Based on your selection, the values for crude protein and total digestible nutrients will automatically be filled in with the default values. If these do not match the feed label, or if you know the values for the feed you are using, you can change these values. Estimate the cost per ton and select the amount fed per day from the drop-down menu list. For the min amount fed and max amount fed, you have the option to select the minimum and maximum amount of feed that you would consider using for the animals in this profile. NUTBAL will then determine the best combination of feeds to reach your desired weight gain. The wasted percent refers to the amount of feed that does not get eaten. The default value is 1. You may change this to a more appropriate value if you believe that the feed waste is greater than 1%. When finished entering and selecting information, click the Add Feed button on the red bar in the middle of the page. If you entered everything correctly, the feed you enter will show up as a row in the middle of the page. If you need additional feeds for the animals in this profile, you can repeat this process. Once you have finished all descriptions for livestock, pasture, and feeds for the sample, click Save Description at the top of the page. A confirmation pop-up will appear on the screen. Write down the sample number. This sample number can then be written on the zip top bag that includes the manure sample you will send to the GAN lab. Once you have made note of the sample number, you can exit the pop-up window. If you want a copy of the sample description, you can print one by clicking Print at the bottom of the window. If you need to change something in your sample description, you can select the sample number from the Select Sample drop-down box. Remember to always click on Save Description if you make changes to any information in the profile. Congratulations! You have finished the tutorial. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to call or email the GAN lab. Thank you.